When someone presents you with a contract, what are some red flags you should be looking for? One of my good friends as an entertainment attorney in Nashville, Matt Cottingham, he always says, whenever someone hands you something in writing that you need to sign, you should consult with an entertainment attorney, right? So that's the right time to get an entertainment attorney. Now, when someone hands you a contract, there's a lot of potential red flags of things you should look for. So here's just a little bit of advice from entertainment attorney Davey J on what you should look for when someone presents you with a contract, or what you should do when you want to present someone a contract. So this is from podcast episode number 28. For the full episode, I have the link in the description of this video, and make sure you subscribe to the channel and enjoy this advice from Davey J.
Live the life you love.
Was there ever a moment when someone got a deal they were excited about, and you kind of looked at the contract, like, no, you probably shouldn't?
So many times.
Really?
So many. More times than I've looked at it and said, yes. I've looked at it and said, oh, God, no, you're going to run screaming. And usually they listen to me, and sometimes they don't. I've had people who didn't want to hear that, and so they went ahead and signed them anyways. And that's part of when I go home, just like, that my heart just breaks over, like, oh, man, you didn't sign that, did you? Like, oh, no. And they won't tell me right away. They'll tell me like 6 months, a year later when everything has gone badly. But, it's just, unfortunately, the nature of the beast is that in this industry, a lot of the people who are creative love the appreciation and the validation that comes along with being offered a deal. And just because you're offered something doesn't mean you should take it. You don't say yes to everybody who asks you out, so there should be some no's along the way, so it's one of those things where sometimes people just don't want to hear it, which is a total bummer, but I can't make people's decisions for them. I can only just give them the best advice and hope they listen.
What are some common red flags that you see?
Well, there's
without giving any specific names or examples, of course.
There's this is clearly written by somebody who doesn't really know what they're doing. And like when you read it, it's just like, this is a hack job. Like, like they're not even complete sentences, like it's just like, you're going to do this, I'll do that. And it's just, like bad. And the thing is, people write these things going, I know what I mean. Right. And they don't realize somebody else reading it can't glean that from what they've written. So there's that. There's, the template fiasco, with the internet, people think, I'll just go to the internet and download something because lawyers are expensive. In a lot of times and it's a terrible analogy because I don't want to insult anybody, but it's like giving a 2-year-old a scalpel. Like, it's just so dangerous because, even if you're incredibly intelligent and well-read, looking at some template that you find on the internet, you don't know how old that document is. The law could have changed since then. You're not trained to see what's missing from that document, and that's usually where people really kind of shoot themselves in the foot, is because that's what creates loopholes. There's things missing, part of the deal that's not covered, and, so that's where they have problems later on. So even, anything that looks really good on the internet, like, oh, this is perfect, it says music production agreement. And even so, like, it's not appropriate for that situation, it's not going to work. Like the law, contracts specifically aren't one size fits all. And that's where the problems come in. So for me, that's, those are the worst ones. And I can usually, I can tell a cut and paste job from reading it. I can tell whether or not an attorney drafted something from reading it. And yeah, the templates are bad. Like, I even saw one once. This is the end all and be all of the worst templates. So I'm looking over this contract that a client brought in, and I'm like, so who's from Finland? He's like, what? And I'm like, who is from Finland? Who lives in Finland? And he looked at me like I had sprouted horns or something. He's like, Finland? What does Finland have to do with anything? I'm like, exactly. Why is there Finland as the choice of law in this contract? And he's like, oh, I don't know. I didn't read that part. I'm like, oh my God. Finland.
You want to read the contract too, so you understand.
I've had people tell me like, oh, I only read the important parts. I'm like, they're all important parts. Like, I know it sounds like the important part when it says like fees or royalties, but the thing is, the whole contract is interactive with every other part. Like, I can give you something in one paragraph and take it away in the next one, and you wouldn't know any different unless you read it. So